I like the presence of Mac Jones. Why? Because I think Brock Purdy is so competitive that this will make him. Mac Jones is not his handpicked guy. I mean, Brandon Allen is a quarterback who could never start, who was represented by Brock's agent himself. So, I mean, you're never going to get a more comfortable backup than that. He can never beat you out, and his agent's your agent. It's like you make one phone call. I don't want him here anymore. Suddenly he's not here anymore. So he'll never have an easier backup than Brandon Allen. I don't think Mac Jones would be Brock Purdy's first choice. My guess is he probably doesn't want him here. And I think that's a good thing because this is, you want to make Brock uncomfortable. I want to challenge Brock Purdy. I want to find out. I want to see how, competitive he is. I want him to compete against Mac Jones because I didn't feel like I got the best out of Brock Purdy last year. And I think that was the first year there really was nobody there for him to compete with. And I don't think that's accidental. I think that's cause and effect.
I agree. Like he didn't compete with Sam Darnold for the job or with Trey Lance. But I mean, having Sam Darnold there, having Trey Lance there, put pressure on Brock Purdy. Like you're the starter now, but if you falter at all, there are other options. And with last year is like, dude, you're the franchise guy. We have jokes behind you. Like, go do whatever. And I feel like we kind of saw it in his play. He started playing outside of himself. He started trying to do too much. He started trying to prove that he was someone he's not. Now it's like you need to come back and be that point guard who just distributes the ball and let the playmakers be the playmakers. Because if you don't and you try doing that hero stuff again, that's how Mac plays. Mac's the point guard. Mac's not trying to scramble around. Mac's not trying to extend plays because he can't, because he's slow. But it's great that Brock can do all that stuff. But he still needs to be able to be that, point guard primarily. He wasn't last year a lot of the time. So I think it's nice that they brought in someone like Mac who's going to reinforce the assignment for Brock.
No question. And be there if Brock has one of these, 3 or 4 week deals where he's throwing picks and, turning the ball over, not seeing it. I felt like his whole dial, Grant, of risk reward was off this year. I referenced it to Shanahan late in the year. I said, man, how can you coach him out of some of his over aggressiveness? He's like, I don't see any over aggressiveness. I'm like, really? You don't see any over aggressiveness? He just threw an interception.
And what were you reaming him about at his locker after the game?
Yeah. Well, and then on the game where their season ended on a blind pass on first down all the way down the field when all the offensive players were open underneath, and Brock forced it down the field to Juwan Jennings, and Juwan couldn't break it up in time because he tripped or something, but it was a terrible
if Jimmy
throw.
throws that pass, we're like, dude, what are you doing? But with Brock, he's done so many good things. You're like, it's uncharacteristic.
It was high risk on first down. I mean, come on. You're the season's in the balance, and you're going to float up a pass down the field to Juwan Jennings, some 50-50 ball when the all 22 showed there were 3 offensive players. The Rams were playing deep on all of them, taking away all the deep passes. It was all there in front of you. It wasn't the last play of the game. It wasn't 4th down. It wasn't 3rd down. You didn't have to take that level of a chance.
You were in the field goal range, and you were in a game that was a field goal game. You were in field goal range.
Right. And
anyway,
and when I asked Shanahan about it, I was like, no, I don't think he's over aggressive. It's like, well, really? I mean, seriously? That's what you think? I mean, on that play? I mean,
that being said, though, I bet you Parag in these negotiations is bringing this stuff up. Like, you think you're worth $50 million a year? What about this?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so last year Brock had a down season, but it wasn't all his fault, right? Because there were some injuries and but look at the roster now. They just gutted it and lost 9 starters. When you pay a quarterback $50 million a year, you lose a bunch of people. And the expectation is he's going to elevate the team the way Stafford elevated a young Rams team the last 2 years, the way Allen elevated a young Bills team last year. We saw Brock try to elevate a so-so team last year. It didn't go so well. He seems like he's one of these quarterbacks who's really good on a really good team. And there's no shame in that, but that's what it is.
Well, I mean, how is he going to elevate this team if, his tight end's on the wrong side of 30, his fullback's almost 35, his running backs coming off of multiple Achilles, and you just chased away his top 2 receivers. I mean, which is probably going to be the reality by week 1. So it's like, I mean, really? He's supposed to just go out there and wing it to Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing and all's right with the world. I mean, this can be a very interesting year because they don't look good right now, and yet I think the expectation is that they win. And if they don't win, I'm sure Brock's going to be saying, "Hey, well, what about my cast?" And I'm sure if Kyle's feet are held to the fire, why wouldn't he say, "Hey, we just chased away all of our talent, did nothing, and then came back and didn't improve." I mean, and you guys are surprised by this. So I don't know. I'd love to hear that John, Jed, Kyle, and Parag are all on the same page, because if they are, then no big deal. They've had some success. They're going to do a reset. They're probably going to win 8 or 9 games this year at most, even with the easy schedule. And maybe next year they'll come back with a chance to kind of jump into that Super Bowl mix. But if it's, you know what, Kyle and John, this is your year to produce. And in the midst of your year to produce, they got rid of Debo and Ayuk. And, I mean, it's like, that's, I would imagine there's going to be some unhappiness down there if they're not all on the same page.